Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video, a very different video to the last one. This time it is all about Jesse Marsch being appointed Leeds United head coach just one day after Marcelo Bielsa was sacked. Now, for anyone that hasn't seen Jesse Marsch's first interview as Leeds head coach on LUTV or the Twitter sites or Sky Sports, he's had a few comments about Bielsa. Obviously, it's a tough job for him to come into with how well respected and how loved Bielsa was. But he's got loads of respect for him. He said he's watched him over his career as a manager, as a coach. One of his first games as assistant for the US national team was against Marcelo Bielsa's Chile national team. So he's played against him before. He understands how it works. They have similar playing styles. He said he's got experience coming in after popular managers, so that doesn't faze him at all. You just look at when he came in at RB Leipzig, he was coming in after Julian Nagelsmann, who is now the Bayern Munich manager. So that doesn't faze him at all, which is good to see. We're not gonna have a Dave Hockaday situation. He also acknowledged that we should have a kind of loyalty to Bielsa, as he said he is a hero to Leeds United fans after bringing us up to the Premier League, and it's now his job to take us on to the next phase. So it'll be interesting to see how that one plans out. It does feel odd for a Leeds United team to not be managed by Bielsa. It's been 3.5 years, but that is a long time in football, and we can still be upset that Bielsa's no longer our manager. That's going to take time, but we can be excited for what's going to happen under Jesse Marsch, hopefully. He said good things in his interview, which I'll go into a bit later. He spoke very well in the interview as well. He was saying all the right things. He was starting to win me over, and I've seen on Twitter that he was starting to win other people over as well. But obviously that's just an interview, and it will take more than an interview to win us over properly. We're going to need to see results on the pitch, and he's a smart guy. So hopefully we will get the results on the pitch that we need. Now, it has been in the pipeline for a while, this appointment, as I said in my last video. If you haven't seen that, go and have a look. You'll watch me be really sad about Bielsa leaving. He was going to come in at the end of the season. We've realised that now. But they've just brought the appointment forward as Radrizzani felt we needed a change earlier than the end of the season. So I would be interested to know how long he's known he's going to be coming in as early as now and not at the end of the season, whether it has been the last couple of days or whether it's been a week or two that he's known that he'll be coming in. Also interesting that in the Sky Sports interview he said that he came into contact with Victor Orta a couple of years ago. So it could have been, we know that they've always had a list of replacements should Bielsa walk at any point. He was probably one of those, and he's just been ready to come in at any point almost, I guess. But that does mean he's been watching Leeds for a while, so he should have a good understanding of the players that we've got and how they work, which is better than someone just coming in from the cold and not having a clue about anyone. That would take more time to get to grips with things. Now let's talk about what differences we should expect between Jesse Marsch and Marcelo Bielsa. I have said that they've got similar styles, but there are some key differences. First of all, shout out to the Coach's Voice. They do seminars almost on some coaches, and there's some good clips going around with seminars with Jesse Marsch about how he plays and what his style is. So if you haven't seen those, go and check them out on YouTube. He doesn't do man marking. We know that for certain, which might have been our downfall over the past couple of months. He still presses, but instead of pressing the man, he presses the ball instead. And he doesn't do it individually, he does it as a group. You often see with Leeds that you'll have the striker just pressing the defence, and then it'll go out wide and you'll have the winger press that player. But with Jesse Marsch, it's slightly different, where they'll go as a block and move around the pitch as a block pressing, which which I guess would make it a bit easier because you'll have more players with you and it'll be less stressful. He said in his interview also that Bielsa has laid incredible foundations at Leeds, which anyone could have told you that. What he's done has been amazing, and we are so grateful for him for doing that. But it is now his job to identify how to do the important things and simple things right away before building the complexity moving forwards. So to me that means he will be tightening up the defence, getting to do the simple things right, and hopefully we won't be conceding as many goals as we have in the last month or two. But yeah, they're similar styles in terms of the high intensity and the lots of pressing, but there are little differences in the style which will be interesting to see, and maybe because they are still quite similar, it won't take them as long to adjust as it would with another manager coming in. Formation-wise, he normally stereotypically goes for a 4-2-2-2 or a 4-2-2-2, but he can vary that formation into a 4-2-3-1, a 4-3-1-2, that kind of thing. It's similar to what Ralf Rangnick has done at Manchester United, who he worked under at RB Leipzig also. So it'll be interesting to see how that works. Will he go with that straight away, or will he stick with the 4-1-4-1 that they already know? If he does swap, that will see Calvin Phillips moving into a double pivot, as he is with England. And in that formation also, the wide players aren't and won't be as wide as they were under Bielsa, because that's one of the obvious switches in the two styles. Bielsa was all about getting it wide and then getting it into the box, whereas Jesse Marsch keeps everything very central. It'll be interesting to see how that works for our wingers. Rafinha, Dan James, Jack Harrison, they're all very much wide players. Rafinha especially likes getting out wide and then cutting inside or getting a cross in. I'm not sure where the wide players will play. Could Rafinha play as one of the two strikers up front? Would Rafinha and Bamford maybe be the two up top? Or would he drop back into the centre attacking mid position almost and play a bit narrower? Could Rodrigo and Bamford be a pairing when Bamford is back fit? Because Rodrigo's link-up play has been a lot better in recent weeks. It's just not had the end product, which that is what Bamford would bring, the end product. So Rodrigo would be there to set it up, Bamford would be there to finish it almost. That would be interesting to see. Will Joe Gelhardt get more game time now that there's two players up front, if they go with that formation? I'd imagine he would start with the 4-2-2-2 on Saturday, but I don't have a clue how he sees the players in the team. I mean, we never would have predicted that Bielsa was going to turn Calvin Phillips into a centre defensive mid, and albeit one of the best centre defensive mid in the league. So it'll be interesting to see how he shapes up and what players will be more in his plans and who he might develop further out of the young players. Lewis Bate could get more of a role in a double pivot. Players that Jesse Marsch has managed and developed, there's some obvious ones. Erling Haaland, a big Leeds United favourite. We all want him to come back home and play for Leeds, but I can't see that happening. Minamino was linked with us in the summer, as I mentioned in the last video. Paxton Daka, who is at Leicester. Karim Adeyemi is having a great season this season. Josko Gvardiol, who we were linked with, playing at left back and centre back. He was one of the original left backs that we were looking at to replace Alioski. He's worked with him at Leipzig, and obviously Brendan Aronson at Salzburg. So it'll be interesting to see if that one does get over the line in the summer, now that there's that connection with Jesse Marsch, and he is well used to playing in that sort of centre attacking mid-wider role. Another thing that is different between Jesse Marsch and Bielsa is the way he is around the players. Marcelo Bielsa was very distant with his players. He didn't really build up personal relationships. Jesse Marsch is the complete opposite. He likes to be close with his players. It's a stark contrast from Bielsa, and after what Bielsa was doing has stopped working, maybe that friendly touch from Jesse Marsch, they could need that approach to build their confidence back up. But yeah, he he has got a massive job on his hands. Whoever was going to come in has got a massive job on his hands. He's going to think about the short term first, getting us safe in the division, and then build the blocks, take the torch on, as he said, to the next phase. He has got a long contract. He's got a contract until 2025, 3 years, which will give some sort of stability to the club, as Bielsa was renewing year on year. After the season, he would say, okay, I'm going to stay. They didn't know if there was going to be that stability there, or if they're going to have to go and get in another manager. To me, he seems like a great guy. He knows what he's talking about from the seminars and the clips of the seminars that I've watched. He comes across really well in the interviews. He started to win me over. He started to win the fan base over. But as I said at the beginning, it's going to take a lot more than the first interviews to properly win us over. We're going to need to see results on the pitch first. But what I am going to say is we all need to get behind him. We need to give him all the support we need. We need to give the players all the support they need to keep us in this division. That's the most important thing. And then we can move on from there. I'm not going to say that I'm an expert on the way that he plays, because realistically I don't know a lot about him as a manager. I'm hoping that him coming in with new ideas, it will give the players a lift. His friendly approach will give them the confidence that they need, and almost a new manager bounce, if you will. You saw that with Newcastle, you saw that with Aston Villa. And hopefully we'll have enough to stay up, especially with Phillips, Bamford and Cooper hopefully coming back as soon as possible. And if we do lose against Leicester, who they've not been in the best form recently, but they are a good team, they are a good squad. I know Jamie Vardy's back, I think. They are still a good side. So we can't just get on his back straight away if the result doesn't go our way against Leicester, because that's not fair. And realistically has not had a lot of time to sort out what he needs to sort out, which isn't his fault. It's not our fault either. It's the board's fault for making the decision at the time that they've made it. So yeah, that's a little brief analysis of Jesse Marsch's first interview and how I think Leeds are going to play under him. Just going to have to wait and see what happens against Leicester this weekend and get behind him and support the team and stay in this division. Thank you very much for watching this video. Like the video, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.